Did you have any concept of where you were?
Well, all I know is that we were above the earth and I could look down and see people, but I don't know where.
Did you feel like you were in the clouds looking down, or how were you able to look down?
Well, I remember flying past the clouds, and I looked down through them to see the people.
Was it a long flight? Do you remember flying through the clouds?
I remember it, I just don't remember how long.
Did you spend a lot of time with Pop?
Yes, I did.
Did he tell you stories?
Yeah, he did tell a few funny stories about my dad here.
He told stories of when your dad was younger?
When they were out on the farm most of the time.
So you spent a good amount of time with him?
Yes.
Was anyone old in heaven?
No. The oldest were like in their early 30s.
And no one wore glasses?
Nope, no handicaps either.
Did people age? Do they stay the same?
Well, my sister, of course, up there, she aged of how she would on Earth, but I don't know, but maybe they stop sometime around their 20s, 30s.
Did you feel like you were there for a long time? I'm listening to all of your stories and so many of the things that you learned, and it sounds like you were there for a year. But again, it's that no concept of time in heaven. Is that what it felt like?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some people ask us, can you explain it? The answer is no, we can't. I think the best answer I can give to people is the same one Gabriel gave to Mary, you know. Mary's like, can you explain a virgin birth? And he's like, hey, with God, anything goes. And with time, it's the same thing.
Well, that leads me to my next question. What do you wish God could explain, Sonia? With all the questions now and all the stories that you have, is there a direct question that you would have for God?
No, I don't. I think when Colton went to heaven, I think when we get to heaven, we're going to know all of our questions we have down here on earth. It's going to be answered, kind of like he knew the disciples. He knew a lot of things. And at this point, I mean, we have questions, but we can go to the Bible. But I think once we get to heaven, they'll be answered.
Do you have questions that you wish you would have asked Colton when you were there?
Yeah, but they're all just tiny things compared to what he can do. One of my main questions is, why did he invent flies?
I was going to say, he complains about bugs all the time. I'm like, you were there. Why didn't you ask him when you were there? We've had that conversation.
Were there bugs? Do you remember bugs in heaven?
I don't remember.
It wasn't something you remember.
Hopefully not.
Not a big bug fan.
Heaven is for Real is the true story of the 4-year-old son of a small-town Nebraska pastor who during emergency surgery slips from consciousness and enters heaven. He survives, and young Colton begins to share how he met his miscarried sister, whom no one had told him about.
And she comes up and gives me a big hug and tells me she's my sister, and then she explains what happened.
Colton continued to describe the horse that only Jesus could ride and how the Holy Spirit sends power from heaven to help us. Heaven is for real is told by the father, Todd Burpo, but often in Colton's own words. The message is simple: heaven is a real place. Jesus really loves children, and be ready, there is a coming last battle. This book is our thanks to you for your support. To request a copy, write to us in Canada or in the United States. Visit crossroads.ca or simply call 1-800-265-3100.